So the Steve Alford videos. You
Oh
remember
yeah,
those?
the Steve Alford videos. So I was always all about sports growing up, and I loved football and basketball. And during the summer, I would just practice and practice and practice. But he made a training video for basketball back in the late '80s, I think it was. And I would sit out in the driveway and just work on those drills. I'd put a broom inside of a folding chair, and that would be the hand that was defending me. I'd work on my jumpers, or, the ball handling things that he would do. I would practice those nonstop. There was never one that didn't work.
How about the basement with Phil Collins blaring?
Yep. I had Phil Collins blaring in the basement. I can see it coming in the air. Down in the little basement in Northeast Minot, playing like hockey by myself. That's just what I did. I just, we found ways to like entertain ourselves.
What'd you do to once weigh in at 200 pounds?
Oh, I wish I could just be at 200 pounds now. I used to want to weigh I was 6'2", 195 or something in college, and I wanted to be 200 pounds. And so I had those football tight pants that we'd have, and I stuffed like 2.5 pound weights in each one of the little pockets where you're supposed to put the pads, and stepped onto the scale, and I got to 199. I never got to 200. Not the case now.
As I understand it, you put so much pressure on yourself as a high school athlete that your favorite years were actually 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
Describe that pressure.
7th and 8th grade were truly my favorite years of school. That was when I first met all my best friends that I still have now. And then, high school, played on the basketball team, played with the best player in the state. His dad was the coach, and probably didn't get as much opportunity as I might have, but I may not have deserved it either. I don't know. But I was pretty good.
I was told you did deserve it, and the coach was kind of unfairly
whatever.
playing his son.
You know what? If that's the case, good, because it taught me a lot.
Did it?
Yeah.
What did it teach you?
I used to have a lot of resentment, both for a couple of coaches, because I felt like I got sort of screwed, but it put a real fire in my belly to go prove that I could accomplish. I could do things. I was good enough, because I think that's where a lot of my drive came from, was just trying to prove that I was good enough, and I applied that in the business that I'm in now, is constantly needing to prove that I belong, that I am good enough, that I am supposed to be here.
Because I think you were told by 2 different coaches that you weren't going to make it.
I might have thought I was way better than I really actually was,
But there's still the experiences that shaped you.
Right, and whatever the case was, I felt like I earned the job, and we ended up like splitting time. He started, and he was not great, and every time I go in, I would prove the coach wrong, and I think it became more of an ego thing about him wanting to prove that he was right, and it just became this thing where he just didn't like me, and he wanted his kid from California, he wanted his kid from Vancouver, and then the local hometown kid was not supposed to beat these guys out.
What was said when the recruits were in town?
Oh God, we were beyond the point of no return, and he still expected me as the captain. I was still captain of the team, by the way, to go, help him recruit these big studs from Seattle. He's walking down the hallway, I'm walking down the other way, and he's like, "Hey, Josh, I want you to meet so-and-so." I was like, "F you." Probably not the best thing to do. I was a bit of a punk, probably. But I really, really, really didn't like that guy at that point. I felt like he, had it in for me, and I was done with him, and I said
So what happened?
And then he came back to me afterwards, and we had it out in the locker room. Didn't fight, we just spoke. I told him what I thought of him, and he told me what he thought of me. And that was it.
Did you think up until around that time that you would end up going pro in some form of athletics?
I mean, of course, whenever you play sports, you always think you're going to. You think that that's the dream. But I learned early on that I wasn't nearly good enough to play.
You did?
Yeah, I think by the time I mean, listen, no big schools recruited me. I was playing, NAIA Division II. I knew that wasn't probably a fast track to the NFL. But no, I learned pretty quickly that wasn't going to happen.